everybody. I see we've got some people still coming in, so we'll get settled down here, and I see people coming in. So those of you that don't know, I'm Randy Robbins. I'm the president of the Pass Action Group. We've got our board members checking people or seeing people at the front there as you're coming in, handing out some flyers, handing out some volunteer forms, and that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of stalling a little bit as everybody's coming in. Thank you all for coming. First thing I want to say, I'll call it a journey for lack of a better word. This journey started 6 months ago, and I can't believe the participation that we've received from the community. It's just been, what we've accomplished in 6 months with the community's help has just been amazing. I thank you, everybody. One thing I don't want to forget is to thank our audiovisual staff of Lee Stone, Bob Murray, and Hernan Rojas. We appreciate everything you're doing. We are live on Channel 97 and Facebook Live. So before we get into everything, I just want to explain. I'm going to have Diane Burley speak. She's going to talk about where we are with regards to the legal case. As most of you know, the lawsuit against the city of Banning and the developers was filed April 18th, and there's procedural aspects of that. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our to Diane Burley, who's on our legal committee. Go ahead, Diane.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, now you can hear me. All right. So on June 1st, we had our mandatory settlement conference with the developer's attorneys, and the developer's attorney and the city attorneys, and there was a good back and forth. It was a long meeting. By the way, we are ordered by law to have this conference. So this wasn't something we did that was an optional. And, you know, it ended with some discussion. And then just this Friday afternoon, we received a written proposal from the developer's attorney. Before the meeting on June 1st, we were all sworn to confidentiality. We cannot divulge anything that was talked about in discussions, and we cannot divulge anything that is in their written offer. We also haven't had a chance to look at it because we just got it Friday afternoon. So there is a proposal for settlement, but that's all I'm at liberty to talk about right now. Next, I wanted to give you the status of the legal proceedings. We have a status conference on June 20th. At the status conference, we will meet the judge, who we believe is Craig Reimer out of Riverside Downtown Superior Court. The judge will set what they call a briefing schedule, and also a schedule to compile the administrative record. So there'll be a due date for the administrative record. The administrative record is all the documents, including emails and documents from the city, the EIR, and it's generally very, very big, very long, like thousands of pages. And then after that, he may set the briefing schedule after he sets the schedule for getting the administrative record together. And at this point, the city is going to put the record together, and then we have 30 days to make changes and suggestions or anything that's been missing. So, and that's pretty much traditionally how it's done. And then we'll have the briefing, and of course the compiling the administrative record, our part in it, and certainly drafting the briefing, are going to cost money. It's going to be very expensive in terms of legal fees. And perhaps by next time we meet, we'll have an actual schedule of when the administrative record and briefing schedule are set. So that's where we are. And I'm going to turn it over to Sherry. Do you have anything to say? No? She have nothing to say?
Hi, my name's Sherry Flynn, and I'm Vice President of Pass Action Group, and I'm also a co-chair with Diane on the legal committee. I would like to go over a few of the legislative aspects that are happening right now. There is a bill in the Assembly. It's actually gone out of Assembly, will go to the Senate. It's passed the Assembly. It'll go to the Senate. After that, it will go to Governor Newsom, who could sign it into law. It's AB 2840. It's the 1,000-foot buffer zone that they're wanting to require for any sensitive receptors, which would be schools, things like the lakes, any residence, any home, so which would affect us because our first home is about 800 feet from the warehouse. The lakes is about 10 feet from the warehouse. They're kind of fast-tracking this legislation, which is good. However, they did amend it, and they allow, you must impose a minimum setback of 1,000 feet, or an alternative measure is that the project's impacts must be reduced and not affect public health and safety in a manner comparable to the minimum setback of 1,000 feet. So it kind of gives them an out. They have to provide substantial evidence showing that the mitigation they do will be as if they placed it past 1,000 feet. Now, the warehouse here has already been passed by the city. However, if we can, we have a recall going for Mary Hamlin, and you have to have 1,260 signatures. I have about 1,450. So I have met the minimum, but we need to have a buffer zone, so that's ongoing. It needs to be turned in by July 13th, so we'll easily meet that deadline. It will then go to the clerk of the city. She will make sure we have 1,260, then she will send it off to the registrar of voters in Riverside, and then they will start to confirm that they're registered voters and that their signature is correct. And if we reach that 1,260, then it will probably be put on the November ballot. And it will ask the question, do you want to recall Mary Hamlin, yes or no? If it passes with 50% plus one, whoever has signed up to run in her position, whoever gets the most votes, will win her position for her last 2.5 years. There's also Mayor Pingree is being recalled. That's just starting up. That's District 2. That's to the east of us. That's where 10 warehouses, Sunset Crossroads, is being planned right now. They are actively pursuing recalling him also. They only need about 500 to 600 signatures, and I think that they will reach that and hopefully be on the November ballot also. Also, Colleen Wallace is up for re-election in November, and so is Happy, who is district on the north side of the freeway. Wallace is District 5 towards the northeast end of Banning. And so if we can change the 4 council members in November who are not for warehouses, we could get a moratorium or initiative or a referendum. But with this warehouse here, because they should have recused themselves when they voted, minimum one should have, Mary Hamlin should have, because she had a conflict of interest. She was not supposed to show her bias towards this, and we have plenty of evidence that she did. So the law is that even if her vote didn't matter, it has to go back for a revote as if it did not happen. So if we can change the city council in November and then get a revote, the judge would send it back for a revote, we could possibly stop the warehouse. The only thing I will say is that the city, then the city will open itself up to a lawsuit from the developer. So, hang on. So that is a possibility also with this legislation. If this legislation were to go through with the 1,000 and it had to go for a revote, and the legislation had been passed at that time, then this warehouse would not, it would be in conflict. It would be within 1,000 feet, and it would not be able to be approved. It would not be in compliance. So there's political aspects and there's legal aspects going on here. The political aspect is very, very important, because the legal aspect, it could go back, we could win the lawsuit, it could go back, and they could redo the environmental impact report. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be stopped, but the political aspect could stop it. So it's very important, these recalls and voting in November, to change the city council. Then we can change the planning, Adam Rush, and we could also change Doug Schultz out, because those are the people who are changing banning for the worse. There's two other assembly bills. One is that they have to mitigate for. Let me get this straight here. This just came out, but it's a mitigation measure that the project site avoid or minimize to less than significant the adverse effects on the air quality of a disadvantaged community, or measures conducted in the affected disadvantaged community that directly mitigate those effects. So Banning is considered a disadvantaged community. So we would fall under this. I'm not real clear as to how this would affect the Banning warehouse at this point. It just came out. So I'll have to research this a little bit more, but we are a disadvantaged community, and so they would have to minimize the effects of air pollution. And this is also being fast-tracked and is in front of the Senate already. I think that's it. Sign the recall petition. It's at the back. It'll be there when you're done. If you haven't signed, you have to be a registered voter in Mary Hamlin's district, which Sun Lakes is. If you're on the north side, if you came on the north side, you're also in her district, which is bordered by Highland Springs and Wilson. You can also sign the petition if you've come. And so that'll be there after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. The other thing I wanted just to reiterate on what Sherry said, changing the political climate in Banning is we're seeing that as this group, we're seeing that as a very important step. We see a lot of stuff that seems to be questionable, for lack of a better word, and we'd like to see some changes made throughout the city council. And I think there's other citizens, the fact that other districts are starting recalls makes sense. It's not just us in District 3. It's a lot of people that are trying to, they're not happy with what they're seeing in the city. There was recently a billboard that went up that was not from us down at the east end of town that said support the recalls. So I personally support the recalls. That's all I can say. So the overall recap that we can continue giving today is it's still going to be a fight. There's no doubt about it. If we get the legislation change, then there's a good chance that we get another chance to stop it from the beginning when they do the do-over. If we don't get that legislation change and we don't change the political climate in the city, even if the judge says we get a do-over, if the political climate's still bad, we may still have issues. That's what we're working towards. That's what's going to take time, going to take money to do it. Diane addressed the mandatory settlement conference. We need to look at every aspect. We have created an email address, and we want to get as many people on our email list and the newsletter, the new newsletter that I've been sending out. Our email, it's available at the website, which is patsactiongroup.org. And we're working, that website is being refurbished as we speak. So hopefully within the next day or so, you'll see it much more updated, cleaned up, and all of that. We had a little lapse there, and I apologize for that. The second part on that, the email that we have is available on there, and it's been on some other, it's Pass Action Group 2022, so 2022, @gmail.com. So if you're not getting any emails or newsletters from us, send an email to that one and just ask to be added to it. Myself and Harry Finnegan's going to help me get that taken care of, get everybody everybody put on the email list. We're not currently sending it out to about 1,500 people, and if we can get more, that way we can share more news to everybody. And please share that with anybody you want to. Okay, at this point, if we have some questions, we'll let you come on up like we've done before. Charlie's has graciously volunteered to help man the microphone. We'll try to keep the questions, kind of short. We don't want someone up there talking for 5 minutes, I'm going to be honest. 3 minutes usually seems to work out okay. And at least that's what Bob tries to do, right, Bob? So anyway, Charlie's up there if anybody's got any questions.
Hi, my name is Charlie Fries. Can you hear me? We're a 21-year resident of Sun Lakes Country Club. Before we get started, maybe it would be kind for us all to stand as you're able for a pledge of allegiance to the United States. I pledge allegiance Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Charlie.
Now, as Randy just said, 3-minute limit. When you come up, would you be kind enough? Introduce yourself, indicate that you are a resident of Sun Lakes or elsewise. Yeah. And so let's begin the fun.
Hello. My name's Jack Marty. I'm a resident of Sun Lakes. I came across just recently a news article, and it's called The Real Deal. It was put out by the New York Real Estate News, and it's also picked up by Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal. It says Amazon to scrap industrial properties in warehouse strategy flip. Amazon is looking to put more on the market than its offerings as a one-stop shopping hub, backing off a chunk of industrial real estate. The e-commerce giant is looking to sublet at least 10 million square feet of warehouse space. People familiar with the situation told Bloomberg. The company could also end some of its leases with landlords, another strategy to shed the space it amassed during the pandemic. Amazon could look to sublet up to 30 million square feet, one source told the outlet, but the final volume remains in flux. The company's excess space is in New York, New Jersey, and California. Amazon added a huge amount of warehouse space, and they more than doubled their space during the pandemic. During the pandemic, amidst the e-commerce boom, the 10 million feet reportedly on the company's chopping block is roughly equivalent to only 5% of their space that they picked up in the last 2 years. Subleasing is a very common real estate practice, a spokesman for Amazon told Bloomberg, declining to say where or how much space the company would eventually sublet. And Randy, I'll give you this when I
Thank you, Jack.
go sit down. Subletting appears to have already commenced in that a West Coast trucking business, Dependable Highway Express, I know that company, I used to do business with them when I was working, recently subleased 300,000 square feet of industrial space from Amazon in the East Bay up north with a 5-year sublease that'll run through the end of Amazon's lease for the property. Amazon's retreat from the industrial sector sector began last month after it was reported they had about a $4 billion loss in the first quarter of 2022. And we'll see what things look like. This isn't a done deal for everything for now on. It's like a temporary fix. If things go gangbusters and they make billions of dollars, they'll probably be back on the market looking to gobble up little places like ours. But on the other hand, could go the other way. So that's what many of us would be hoping for. Andy Jassy, the CEO of Amazon, said in an earnings release the company was no longer chasing physical or staffing capacity at this stage in the business. The CFO added that excess capacity cost $1 billion, about $2 billion in the first quarter alone, and they did post, it says here, $3.8 billion net loss in the first quarter. It's the first quarterly loss since 2015.
So Jack, I think we're at the time limit, but
I'm done. I got most of it.
What I see from that too is there are some valid points there that the industry is changing, and if we can slow down the progress of this warehouse, the industry might change to our benefit.
If you're interested in speaking, I've placed some chairs over here, so you might want to come on down, and there's seats. If we need more, I'll get more. You want to come up?
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Messier. I live at 844 Pine Valley Road here in Sun Lakes. Randy, I...
Keep it a little closer.
What?
Closer.
All right. Diane mentioned that it's completely confidential and nothing can be released, your discussions on settlement offer. Would it behoove PAG to notify the people that respond on emails to provide you with some input on the types of things that they may help them accept if they would be acceptable? Because the email sounds like a good way to do it.
That's a great question, Bob. Yes, it would. It would. If there's anybody out there that has some thoughts about what, with regards to if we get to any, I guess for lack of a better word, serious settlement talks, whatever, or some mitigations that you're aware of that you feel would help your community, this community, please send us an email for that.
And also, is there a time when it will be possible to release some of that information before the decision is made?
I expect, well, I got to be careful here. The answer I can give right now is I don't know the absolute answer, but I would expect so.
Thank you.
I hope that's fair enough.
Ken Johnson, Birdie Drive. Questions. Can you give a status of the solicitation efforts for funds from the community? Have we gone around yet, and what's the status? Do we have enough funds? Do you want to answer the question?
Go ahead, Ken. The simple answer, we've been trying to, again, we are on 97, we are on good Facebook Live, so we've always been very careful. We're not letting everybody in the world know our financial status. All bills are paid. We have enough money right now. If any, we will need more if this continues on longer. There's no argument on that. But if you need anybody that wants more information, send an email to that email, passactiongroup2022@gmail.com, and we will get you in touch with the treasurer, and we will let you know what's going on. It's just we don't want to get it out on the public airwaves, and I hope you understand and respect that. But I understand your question. But all of our legal bills are paid to date.
And we have enough funds to continue for the June activities.
What was that, Ken?
And we have enough funds to go through the June activities like the court?
Yes.
If we go to the court.
I believe we're where are we at? June? Yeah, we should have enough for right now to get through the current current situation through this month.
So my question, the first one was, is that I thought we were going to get volunteers to go around and make residents aware. Are we in motion with that? Is it in progress?
Going around door to door has not been met very well with a lot of people in the community. So at this moment, we are not continuing with that canvassing.
So my response to that is everybody that's watching, everybody in the room, start talking to people in the community that you know and get the word out. The last question, do we need to be more active in the Sunset Crossing Initiative? And is there another group that we should be communicating with that's doing those efforts?
I'm going to let Sherry answer some of the particulars of that. The first answer is there another group doing it? Not that I'm aware of. Is the Pass Action Group doing it at this point? No, we are not. But Sherry can give you the particulars of where Sunset Crossroads stands.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, Sunset Crossroads is east of Sun Lakes Boulevard and, I always get this street wrong, Highland Home. And it's going to be about 10 warehouses, small retail, they say. And that is at the draft EIR stage. So the city's preparing the draft EIR right now. That's why they want to put Sun Lakes Boulevard through, so that will service those 10 warehouses. Right now, the city on Tuesday is voting to change the zoning in that area. It was to be low income, middle density housing. They are going to change, I don't know how many parcels, 5 or 6 parcels to the industrial warehouse, so they can start moving on Sunset Crossroads. Vista Serrano, which is a 55 and older gated community near Sunset. I went and spoke there with a few other people, informed them of Sunset Crossroads. They were not aware. The city has kept it hidden, like they kept Banning Point hidden. And so now they are aware of it. They are mobilizing. They would like to join us. So we are looking at down the road. We're watching Sunset Crossroads very carefully. So when the EIR comes out, you have 45 days to write your comments and say what you don't want about it. And so we missed that on Banning Point because we weren't informed on Banning Point was even happening during COVID. So we missed that deadline. You only have 45 days, and then once they pass it, you only have 30 days to actually file a lawsuit. So we're following that, and we'll keep you all informed of that. And we may end up joining with other people in the city and fighting that warehouse also. But at this point in time, that's not part of the Pass Action Group at the moment.
So do we need to be at the city council meeting on Tuesday for representation or not?
I think it's the 14th on that, Ken, rather than the 7th. I think it's the 14th. What they're doing is they're changing a couple of the zonings. What they're doing right now, and what Sherry's referring to, is there's 2 little parcels in the area just this side of Sunset right over here. 2 of the small parcels. There's 250 acres there total or something like that. There's 2 little small parcels that are still zoned as high density residential. And that's part of the affordable housing that you have to have in a city, and there's a certain amount of homes that you have to have based on your population. What they have done is they are basically rezoning another area into high density residential so that they can take this away from high density, which meaning apartment buildings. They're taking that away from them. The part that they're creating, and so they're actually going to have a net gain of affordable housing, but it's in 1.5 miles east of Hargrave. There's nothing there. maybe it's not a full mile and a half, but it's past the other warehouses that are going up out there. So they're interesting. I'm just going to say interesting. I won't make an accusation. They're just interesting ways that they are working the system. And that one is city council meeting on the 14th. The public notice was in Friday's Record Gazette.
So
And
my last question.
one more answer to the previous question, Ken. As I said at the beginning, I feel we've had tremendous support. We've gotten a lot of money. There is a reality. We have received, from our calculations, less than 25% of the homes have participated. Just less than 25% of the homes have participated or donated. That's not for me to judge anybody. That's not what I'm doing. That's just a fact. That's a mathematical situation that we're in. Go ahead, Ken.
So my last question is, have the attorneys looked at, and I've read in other cities, where the council is changing the general plan quite a bit, that there is a legal stance to go after them, because we've got 2 more warehouses potentially going up near the airport that was just announced, and that a lot of us moved here based on the general plan of the city, which can be updated. There's nothing wrong with it, but it seems like we're updating it by the city quite frequently, which could be something to explore as an option.
Okay. What Sherry just said, I just asked her if she had some more thought, because quite honestly, when it comes to the general plan, specific plan, all that, Sherry's a heck of a lot smarter than I am. But her response just now to me was, Ken's right, they're continually updating it, which they can legally do, but I guess then it becomes not a plan, it just becomes a reaction.
Hello, my name is Millie Hunter. I live here in Sun Lakes for 20 years. One of my questions is, have we gotten money from the lakes, which is going to be much more heavily impounded by us? Have we got money from Albertsons? All of those people are going to be impacted in this situation. I feel that we should reach out, or whether we have reached out, we need to look at every place to find money.
We have been looking, the lakes has money coming, and we haven't gotten it yet, but it is coming. We haven't seen it yet, but it is supposed to be coming. They've got a new regional manager that is working over there, and she is actually, we have had a spot on our board from day one for representative of lakes, and currently the new general manager or regional manager has been very active with us now, and she's guaranteed that the money will be coming.
Is that Lori?
Yes.
Okay, because I met with Lori and Ms. Whitaker, who's the Vice President of Operations, a few weeks ago for 2.5 hours. And I imposed on them that they needed to help us because they're more impacted, and what would their business be with that warehouse?
That's correct, and they have definitely have the plan to support. It's just going through the corporate hoops to get it to us.
Okay, well, I just wanted, the other thing I wanted to tell you, the Wall Street Journal yesterday on Amazon, they have actually lost $10 billion this quarter getting out of leases for warehouses they have no use for. That's quite interesting. The other thing is Prologic, which evidently builds a lot of these. Their stock has dropped tremendously because there's no business coming in for more warehousing. So that is really what they call, they were overbuilt. Now what are they going to do with all the buildings that they can't lease? So that might be in our favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Millie.
I know. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Inge Schuler. I'm not a resident of Sun Lakes, but I live in District 2. And yes, we have a group, but we are not that fortunate that we can command that kind of attention. We are all spread out over District 2, which starts at Sunset, goes east all the way to the Indian Reservation, and incorporates the homeless shelter, the the airport, the prison, so we are well distributed over the area. We have met, several of us have met, and we are working on the recall for our mayor. The first one, as in your experience, our first experience with the city deputy clerk was we got this thing back. She couldn't read some of the signatures, so that's all right. Happened to you, it's happening to us. Now we have way over 20 signatures, and she can always fill in the ones she can't read. The other thing is we are meeting regularly, and we have discovered about the Sunset Crossing. Those parcels that you are referring to on that property are zoned rather arbitrarily, high density, and the proposal that was apparently passed by the Planning Commission this last Wednesday is to rezone them very high density, which means about 30 units per acre, which is wonderful right there in the middle of nowhere. But the plan is not to keep that zoning. They want to do this to satisfy the state with the requirement that we have to have so many low-cost housing units that are available for new construction. The moment this is going through, they will fulfill the development's agreement that they have most likely with First Industrial to pursue the 10 warehouses. And the EIR, the draft EIR, yes, is in progress. The developer pays for these environmental impact reports. And this, on this large property, it's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars that the developer will end up paying. And he probably wouldn't do this unless there is a good chance that the city will approve the zoning to industrial. So, yeah, that's the same thing that they did with Banning Point. It's their strategy. The other one that First Industrial is building is east of Hathaway, right across the street from an established old Banning residential area. It is absolutely impossible to anticipate all these problems that are coming to us. Banning will be a center for warehouses and cannabis manufacturing. All right. It's not going to attract a lot of retail business. Brace yourselves, this is coming down the road.
Thank you, Inge.
I'm Nita Cook, and I live at 275 Brooklawn in District 17. I know door-to-door solicitation, and I feel this way, is intrusive and probably won't be well received. But if we thought about fundraisers, like we have the perfect venue at Sun Lakes. We have 2 golf courses. We could have golf tournaments. We have tennis courts. We could have tennis tournaments. And there's a myriad of other ways we could raise money, and sometimes people are more likely to cough up money if there's something in it for them, like a contest or a big barbecue or something like that. So,
Thank you, Nita. And just to let you know, yes, I agree that with the anticipation that we were, like I said, you know, it wasn't probably going to work going door to door. We created a committee out of the board last week just to work on fundraisers. So, thank you.
Hello, I'm Bill Hobbs. I've lived here for, I got a bad hip, I got to lean in. I've lived here for, my wife and I, for 19 years. And first of all, I would really like to thank the lady that was on prior, Inge Schuler. Inge Schuler, we used to not really get along a lot at the city council meetings, but I am so impressed with Inge. She's so intelligent, and she's a historian of this town. And she's given me so much information that I've changed my complete outlook on the city council, city government, and Banning. Another gentleman, I don't know if he's here, Frank Burgess. Frank is a very accomplished, there he is, he's all the way in the back, a very accomplished businessman in Banning, and he too, we have meetings, we get together, and we discuss things, but they have taught me so much. You know, it's really unreal, and I thank you too. Now, somebody brought up one other thing, the city council, the city manager, I think it was a few months ago, they let go a really great planning member by the name of Marco Santana, all right? And they let him go because he voiced his opinions about the warehouses. He's not for them, not in residential areas, okay? So you got Marco Santana, and they put together a new group. It's called A Better Banning. And I would encourage all of you to get familiar with that. So you've got Marco Santana, then you've got Chris Castorina, and then you've got Shane Arch. You know, I can judge people. I was a retired human resources manager for a couple decades. But the thing is, these are three of the brightest people I've met in this town in city government. I'm not speaking of you folks, but in city government, okay? I mean, they are some of the brightest people I have yet to meet. And I think they will do a fantastic job. So anything we can do to support a better Banning is very important. For the last, I don't know, half dozen years or more, I've been attending the city council meetings. Not everyone, but I try to get in there, you know, once a month at least. And it's so different when you're actually there and you see them in action. It's a lot different than watching it on TV, and way different than stuff you read on Facebook or whatever. So I would encourage, if you have that opportunity, to at least go once or twice, you know, get the feel for who the people are that are running our city government. So, you know, as I said earlier, I'd really encourage us to get a little more involved, but be civil, be civil. I think when us all started, you know, there were a handful of people on both sides, and maybe one above board they shouldn't have. But I think we need to be civil, and that's how we can get things accomplished. But again, I thank all of you for being here.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, my name's John Ramey. I'm a homeowner here. I think there's a couple of things that are really important. The most important thing is the financial commitment. The city of Banning and the developers have a huge financial commitment every year, every 6 months, every 3 months, whatever their legal process is going to be. If everybody can participate, ours is minimal. And we can drag this thing out forever. And the longer this goes, the better chance we have of beating them. Because whoever's interested in coming into that project is not going to wait forever. And every month, every year that this goes on, whoever that potential person is or company is going to be less likely and then was going to go someplace else. Now they've got to go find somebody else as a tenant, potentially. And so we just need to be a pain in somebody's backside. And it's a very minimal commitment to be that pain. And the longer this goes into litigation, the more that they're going to see from a legal standpoint that they don't, number one, they have an EIR that's no good. And if they have to do a new EIR, it doesn't pass. So if the court just goes with that and says, okay, your EIR was done 2 years too early, you waived it under the procedures for waiving an EIR, you don't qualify. We want a new EIR done. Well, we already know that this new project over here in this 200 acres has EIR problems. So if that has problems, this one's going to have problems. And so we need to make, if we just look at it from an individual standpoint, we're sacrificing maybe $50 to $100 a household they're sacrificing tens of thousands of dollars on their part to hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Okay, from a downside, your house here, I have a house also in Four Seasons that's worth $700,000. You might be able to look at a downside of $100,000 to $200,000 on your side. And $100,000 to $200,000 downside doesn't match with $100 or $50 out of pocket. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure that one out. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with $50 to $100 per household. I've used this before. It's less than one In-N-Out burger, #1, per month.
I'll give up Starbucks instead. Thank you, John.
That's what we're dealing with from a financial standpoint. You know, it's practically nothing. You know, but what these guys have a legal team. They've got all these experts that are testifying for them that they're paying big money to. And the longer this goes, you know, their bankroll is being stressed much, much more than what we ever thought about. And I hope also the Pass Action Group gets very, very involved in what's going on next door and then Sunset Crossing deal, because that makes this thing look like nothing. And if you think that we're going to have problems with this thing, if they put in 10 buildings, well, I hope you enjoy being at home a lot.
All right, thanks, John. I appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Virginia Cervantes. I live on the north side. The north side people need to really get involved with this whole operation. I believe what the city is trying to do is to get rid of all of Sun Lakes. We are prime lot. If those warehouses want to come this way, they want to go ahead and take over Sun Lakes. Sun Lakes is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area environment. We're not going to allow them to do that to us. I've only been here under 11 years. I love my backyard. I love to watch the scenery of the mountains and everything else. I live exactly on the north side where all the golfers hit my house. But with that being said, please, everyone, get involved. You have $10 to give, $20 to give, $5 to give. Just give. Because remember, the longer we keep them in court and keep fighting this, the better it will be for us. If the city had any common sense, they would provide for us, not just Sun Lakes, not just for the lakes, but also for all the family-owned homes by Kohl's. Provide something for those families. Beaumont's doing wonderful. Why can't Banning do wonderful? Why can't they have a heart and provide all of the retail stores we need? We need another medical supply store here. The families on the other side, they need a gym where they can take their children to for dance lessons. So this isn't just about Sun Lakes. It's about humanity. It's not a political thing. It's a character thing. So for everyone, please get involved, because on the north side, once that street goes through, once that warehouse goes through, we are going to be harmed of, one, emergency crew never coming to get us because they'll be delayed from Highland Springs all the way through to Sun Lakes, through both areas of Sun Lakes. Number two, your families are going to be involved with this. They're going to be held up at the gate, all the gates. Number three, you can't be able to take your golf cart from one area to another. The semi-trucks are going to be there, blocking you, and also with all the accidents they've been having, please, this is a personal issue for every single person that's here. North side, south side, all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia.
My name is Beverly Rashid, and I live on the north side too. And so we have an extreme vested interest in this whole process. The first thing I'd want to ask is, I've brought this question up in the past. It's not uncommon, first of all, for only a few people to give all the money and provide the support. But is there a reason why we have not been able to get anything in Sun Lake's life? I ask that because people who don't come out, at least they read that, and we might be able to get somebody or a few more people involved in supporting us.
We have had a couple articles in Sun Lake's life. I will work with the writer that's been doing it, and we'll get another one in. I'll check when our next deadline is.
I'm not sure how I've missed them, but thank you. I'd appreciate it.
It's been a couple months, but there were some early on.
Great. The other thing is my old concern. From the very beginning, there are some of us who were concerned that Sun Lakes was trying to fight Banning Point alone and warehouses alone. Thanks to the fact that some of us have some relationships outside of Sun Lakes, we're very pleased to see that there has been a movement to recall additional council members. I want to encourage PAG again to consider, as we were once asking them to, the fact that we are not an island. We need the support of everybody. We need to make sure that we're working with the other recall districts, working with people outside of Sun Lakes to stop these warehouses. We cannot do it alone, and we need to. It's an old argument, but once again, thanks.
And on that, we have made some progress previously. I mean, we, again, with working on the recall, Sherry's been working very closely with Frank and some others, and the same thing, we've been working with the A Better Banning. As you know, we had the one event here for a Better Banning program, and we've had members of Sun Lakes go to numerous meetings of theirs, besides yourself, which I know you have.
Of course, but I just think that we really need to make it a point that Sun Lakes is not an island by itself, and most of the people here don't know that. And it's because we need to be saying it more and getting more people involved and supporting us as we support them in this battle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beverly.
It's my pleasure to introduce Frank Burgess. He forgot more about Banning than most anybody knows. Frank, thank you.
I don't know how much. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank you for getting interested for the city of Banning. What has been going on? I've been here since 1955. I served 12 years on the city council. I was on the council when we incorporated this property into the city of Banning. And it's a beautiful complex. And if our city staff had been working on establishing 5 more Sun Lakes instead of a 1 million square foot warehouse, how much better off we would be. There are no school problems. There are no police problems. So everything Sun Lakes has is revenue for the city of Banning. Right now, we are working on District Number 2. We now have the second try, hopefully in this next week or so, to go after the mayor as for a recall. And then we're working on District 1. What I must say to you, even though you're in District 3, if you have friends in District 1, District 2, District 4, District 5, they all need your help. So get acquainted with them and have them to help and give them the advice too on it. I don't know if you know this or not, but quite honestly, about 4 years ago, I was the gentleman that formed the 5-man district. And quite honestly, it was because Sun Lakes and not you folks, the ones that you elected, let you down. They're gone. And we got to make sure. I even voted for Mary, and hopefully with a change that would be a better job. but it didn't work out that way. But there's several things that's been going on in this city over the years, and it has taken revenue away. I'm working on 3 different things right now, and one is cost the city $1.9 million of rebate of our sales tax to the Chevrolet garage here in the city of Banning, contract that they issued in 2005. Still going on. The grand jury recommended that they stop it about 3 years ago but it's still going on it. And they're claiming if they didn't give them the rebate, they would move out of town. Well, number one, General Motors don't let you just pack up and leave town. But in all sincerity, without taking all your time, I want to thank you very much for what you're doing, and I want you to get more involved in the city of Banning. As Bill indicated, if you can, go down to the city council. It's rather boring sometimes, even if you watch it on TV, but get involved. It's your city. Not the city council, not the city staff, are the developers. And we are letting the developers take over our community. The city of Banning sent a proposed now lawsuit with party developers, better known as Tri-Point there. $12 million they waived in permit fees. And they settled for $3 million, plus they give them another 372 homes scot-free on it. That's what's been going on. I don't know, one other thing, the staff, one of them said to me, well, the Sun Lakes people will run out of money and the lawsuit will be dropped. And that's not going to happen on it. And you need to get your citizens outside of the city, because this is not just a Sun Lakes problem. This is a city of Banning's problem with the warehouses. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Frank. Much appreciated. All right, looks like that was the last speaker. I want to thank everybody for coming. We've got Jeannie up here if anybody wants to drop a check off today. The website also shows, has her address if you want to mail one, and we have online available through a program called Give Butter, and you can get that address from the website as well. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call. Send us an email to the email I talked about earlier. And thank you all for coming, and if we all stick together, we can make this happen.
How about an applause?
Thank you.